Survivor 50 continues to feed us. Not the survivors, but us, because episode 3 is so fun. This cast just makes me so happy. I have a lot of thoughts, so let's jump right in. I thought I'd do something a little different this time, and I have my physical notes, and I'm going to go through that way. So we started where we left off with Christian and Rick Devens up to their fake idol antics and celebrating how they were able to do it. I loved that, but did Devens mean to say that he felt like Frank Ocean? Does he know that that's not the Ocean's 11 guy? I don't know. I love that Christian was empowering his son to follow his dreams, even if they're illegal. So then Christian and Rick decide to tell their alliance about the Billie Eilish boomerang idol, as they had to so well enunciate. It felt like Cirie had been told to say the full thing so many times in her confessional. She was like, the Billie Eilish boomerang idol. But anyways, they decide to share that with their alliance members. And I love the fact that Christian, always thinking, I would have not thought of this, says, you know what? I don't want people to know that I found it, though. I don't want them to know that I can find idols. Rick is already known to find idols. He already has the idol stink on him. Let's let him take credit for it. And Rick was down because he was like, you know what? I'll do that for my alliance. People already think of me as someone who finds idols. I might as well have found this one. And for him, it's like, it's just keeping up his reputation, you know? I absolutely adore the alliance of Christian, Devin, Cirie, and Emily Flippin. Like, I don't know why I have to say like her whole name every time, but I love them. I'm rooting for them down. I mean, Emily had a big episode this episode. I do have to say, sue me, but financial analyst and known panic gossip, Emily Flippin is my winner pick. So I have to root for her to turn it around. And honestly, she's good at getting herself into bad places and then getting out of them. So I believe in her. Getting into the beginning of Emily Flippin being so messy this episode, they get to the beach, all three tribes are together, and Jeff does something I did not expect, and I don't think anyone wanted. Sorry, Jeff. But he starts rapping. He tells them all to snap for him, and then raps. I said, what is happening? But I would pay to have the footage unedited of Jeff rapping over just like offbeat snaps. I want to know how many takes it took. Crazy. But what that means is we're getting a swap, and I love a swap. I voted for the swap. I think it keeps things interesting, so I'm pumped for it. I also love that Christian made Charlie admit that he, as a fan, voted for the swap, even though he didn't want it now. That was just like a very cute, very both of them moment. Also, then Christian leans over to Emily and is like, shit, I have to tell her. I didn't have time to tell her. I have to tell her about Aubrey's idol. This sends Emily into a tailspin. She's like, wait, why didn't he tell me until just now? I shouldn't trust him, maybe. Am I doing the right thing trusting him in our alliance? I was screaming at the screen at that point. I was like, no, Emily, come on, please. Don't do what I think you're gonna do. Foreshadowing. The new tribes are really fun. I loved Camilla standing on the mat and being like, Jonathan will carry us through the challenges. And then she looked over at Rizzo and went, I think we all have a lot of different strengths. Like, I felt like she was about to like describe their different strengths, and she looked at Rizzo and thought, I don't know what your strength is. So a lot of this episode is us getting a good look at the new tribe dynamics, and I love that. So first we go to Kahlo, the teal tribe, and Joe is immediately so comfortable. Like, tell me why he's laying on the beach like this. I was like, what's going on here? But I did call it the moment they were on those new mats that I was like, Coach Colby and Joe are gonna get together and be like honor and integrity, which is annoying, but I made a whole video about this. I do think that Joe alone preaching honor and integrity is really hard to work around, but somehow it feels like the three of them together still makes for really interesting TV and gameplay, because this like honesty and integrity brigade feels more like a force that the other people can work against instead of someone they feel like they have to work with and work around, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm interested in seeing if they actually keep to that, and if that makes other people that want to play this more cutthroat game go after them. And we'll see if Coach does his classic Coach thing where he then decides he's actually not going to act with honesty and integrity, but then say that he was. Because that's what we love about Coach. He already did it once this season, so might as well do it to Joe and Colby, you know? Coach trying to be Tyson and give Chrissy advice. It's sorry, Coach, but it just felt like a man telling a woman that she needs to not talk so much. It was like, Coach, you're not delivering this well. Like, if you're actually trying to help her, just being like, maybe don't speak. Ooh, I did not like that. But I loved that she went to the women and they were like, "We got you, girl, we got you." I do feel like a big theme of this episode was women that have sometimes had socially difficult times in their past seasons or even past tribes in this season all coming together and being like, "Wait, we should work together." I love that. That makes me so happy, and I can't wait to see how that plays out in the future. We also saw Tiff and Aubrey connecting, and I was like, that's really interesting to me. Okay. Genevieve kind of demonstrated the having been socially on the outs in her last season thing by saying, "Believe it or not, you guys, I'm in a majority alliance." Love that for her. Love the self-awareness. Then we go to New Sela, the Orange Tribe, and Cirie and Rizzo cracked me up. Cirie basically being like, "Get this fan out of my house," was so good. And Dee being hypnotized by Cirie. Like, she had a glossy look in her eyes being like, "I love Cirie," but then tried to snap herself out of it because she knows logically, like, that is why Cirie is dangerous. But I love it. Fall into the Misty, fall into the Cirie mist. We love to see it. Okay, then we get to probably my favorite scene of the episode, which is the Rizzo and Charlie whole thing. First of all, why did Rizzo just bring up Charlie's trauma out of nowhere? Like, what? You didn't have to say that, dude. But then Rizzo gets Charlie alone and he decides, I'm going to build a bond with him. I'm going to tell him everything I know about idols in this season. Charlie reacts in the way that we've been seeing all season and loving. He has the best, like, face when he's listening to new information. The fun part about this is Rizzo really thinks that he's getting this new ally by telling him all this information. And then we get this really fun editing moment of a flashback to the night before where Charlie's huddled in the shelter and Rizzo says that he did not vote for his number one ally in his season to win. And you just see Charlie like stewing. It's so good. And then we hear the confessional voiceover of Charlie being like, "I will not forget that. Rizzo made a big mistake. Big mistake," in honor of Q. Anyways, he's like, I want him out. I want him out. He voted against his number one ally. That's not happening to me again. The only thing was, I was a little confused because I thought Savannah was Rizzo's number one ally. So I feel like he blew up his spot when, like, that wasn't even necessarily the case. I don't know. Then we get to New Vatu, the Pink Tribe, where Emily Flippin does exactly what I was worried she would do, and she tells everyone everything. I was like, Emily, no, why are you doing that? But you know what? I support women's rights and wrongs. And something that Emily Flippin does well is screw up and then somehow get out of it. So I think we're going to watch her be able to do that. I honestly really liked this Emily and Angelina convo. Obviously, Emily should not continue to go around just spilling everything to everyone, but I feel like the Angelina convo is actually a really good one for Emily because not only did they have that genuine like person-to-person moment where Angelina starts crying and is like, "I think you're the first person to just tell me like it is," but also Angelina might feel like she owes Emily because she is the one who told her, "Look, everyone from your old tribe is telling me that they would have voted you out and they want to vote you out now." Plus, I obviously love the Christian Emily alliance, and I think if Emily is going to work with the David versus Goliath 3, it's really good that she's made these inroads with Angelina. Then we get Emily having to fess up to Christian, and I'm so glad she did this. I'm so glad she came around and was like, "Wait, actually, it feels like Q and Stephanie think that they're running this new alliance we have, and I can't have that. I actually had more agency in my other alliance. Maybe I made a mistake." Crazy, a little too late, girl, but you know what? Not too late. She figured it out, and I'm so glad that Christian was like, "We can get through this. I'm going to forgive her. I'm going to figure this out." It was also hilarious to see Christian like clutching his pearls when she told him, and then in confessional having like a full-blown meltdown, being like, "Emily, why?" Like wanting to shake her. Then we go to the immunity challenge, which is the ever dangerous blindfolded obstacle course into a puzzle, while there's one caller who isn't blindfolded and has to guide everyone. I love this challenge, but someone always gets hurt. Like Colby smashing his head. Thank God he's okay, but he did not look okay for a second. He was like, I was like, "Oh no, what's going on?" The challenge is always dangerous. I'm glad everyone's okay. Rizzo got hit in the head too, but he seemed fine immediately. I also always love how when they're heading back to the puzzle and only one person is not blindfolded, they look like little ducklings or like kindergartners having to follow them. It just really tickles me. Camilla was crushing it in this challenge. I mean, she crushed it the whole way through. They won because of Camilla, and that made me so happy. I love that for her. Also, when Sela won, and they were all still blindfolded except for Camilla, and they were trying to celebrate, just really cracked me up. It's the little things, you guys. So Sela wins not only immunity, but 4 chickens, the best reward that everyone wants. And then Kahlo gets immunity and 1 chicken, and Vaatu gets nothing. And that means Christian, Ozzy, and Emily are all going back to tribal. They cannot escape it. I felt so bad that Christian was blaming himself. And even watching the challenge, I was like, oh no, I think Christian's safe, but I hate that, like, this is gonna look like it's his fault. And he really was blaming himself, and he asked everyone to forgive him, but luckily he's in such a good spot that he's not in trouble at all. Mike White did such a good job this episode, and I loved him just telling Stephanie, Ozzy, and Q, like, honestly, I'm voting for Stephanie. I don't know how to pussyfoot around it. I'm voting for Stephanie. And then going to us and being like, I'm voting for Q, but I'm gonna tell them I'm voting for Stephanie. And Mike is so right. The Q is just too chaotic. I really didn't want to lose him yet because he's such TV gold, but it is better for these players to not have him there. And he showed how chaotic he was with the lying about an extra vote, which I think they weren't sure if they should believe it or not. And that even more to them demonstrated, like, Q is so chaotic that I never know when to trust him. Like, why should I keep him around? Also, Q did the most Q thing imaginable, and he said, Mike White, vote for me. Someone on Rob Has a Podcast, Know It All's podcast this week said, Q got what he always wanted. And I thought that was so funny. Obviously, Q did not want to be voted out, but he's got to stop asking to be voted for. Q, I get what he was trying to do to protect Stephanie, but he just did not see the writing on the wall, and he didn't have a vote, which is rough. It also, of course, led us to having incredible Mike White confessionals about him being like, Q told me to vote for him. I was already going to do that, and now I have his permission. Love that. I honestly wanted Stephanie to go, but it didn't seem like that was going to happen, and I can't lose anyone else, so I was like, okay, you can go. I'm really glad that Emily decided she needed to get Ozzy on board with going with the David versus Goliath 3 because she didn't want to lose him, and I feel like that was really smart, that she now still has her really strong alliance of Cirie, Devens, and Christian, and maybe these added David versus Goliath guys, but she also has Ozzy, like, for herself, as she was saying. I liked that. I thought that was really smart of her to be like, wait, I know what I'm doing, but I need to get Ozzy on board. We get to tribal council, and I am dead at Christian interjecting while Mike White was talking, and Mike White being like, you stepped once, you'll step again, and then being like, I'm just kidding. And Jeff saying, yeah, Christian, you should interrupt one of the world's greatest storytellers. You give Mike White his flowers. Jeff being so shady this episode, him calling Ozzy winless, and Angelina just laughing, like, oh, girl. So Q is voted out, and I'm so sad that we're losing chaotic gold, but, you know, it had to happen. I think if it couldn't be Stephanie, it needed to be him. You know what? Honestly, this episode was so fun, and we're continuing the tradition of Survivor 50 just being one of my favorite seasons so far. I just can't wait to see more, so keep watching. I have lots of thoughts, and some of them are even right.